CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Summer is here, and so is a new law when it comes to hitting the water this summer. New boater education requirements that you need to know about, plus some tips if you're gearing up to do a little fishing during the summer. And if a nice backyard party is more your style, we have some tips to pull off the perfect summertime get-together. Get your tomatoes ready. Local event planner and chef Sean O'Keefe is right here in our kitchen this morning showing you how to become a basic gourmet cook. Plus, everything from bug repellent this half hour to suntan lotion and a few tips to keep you safe in the heat. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm your host, Adam Murphy. And first up, if you're spending your holiday weekend at the lake, you'll want to take note of Georgia's new boater education law. It took effect Tuesday. Anyone born after January 1st, 1998 must take a DNR-approved boater education course. The law was passed in 2013 after a summer that included the death of Usher's son in an accident on Lake Lanier. Now, the course can be taken in person or online, and most of them cost between $20 and $30. And that's just a small part of the new boater education law. And our first guest is Sergeant Mike Bergamy with DNR. He specializes out on Lake Lanier and supervises the activities out there. Huge lake. It's a huge responsibility. Let's talk a little bit about this new boater education requirement and whether or not you're seeing boaters actually follow through on this.
Well, Adam, it is a new law, and with any new law, it's going to take time for that to go into effect. I mean, it did pass it is effective Tuesday, but any new law, we're gonna make sure that we're having a lot of grace out there when we deal with folks that may not have taken the education course yet, but we are serious about it, and we expect for folks to actually have it.
What makes it different from what we already have out there right now?
Well, basically, requiring everyone, you have a start date, January 1, 1998. When you start there and you start educating those folks from now on, you're going to have everybody that's on the same page as far as the boating laws go. Before the law came into place, folks may or may not have education. They may not know the rules of the road. They may not know the laws out there. So with this new law in place, it's really going to help us to make sure that the public's better prepared for the boating. And
so is there going to be a grace period? And so what happens if you're caught, if you will?
Well, like I said, with any new law, we do have a grace period. We are lenient to some extent to give the public an opportunity to make sure that they get that required education.
And so what are the things that you guys will be learning or those boaters learn when they take this course?
They take this course, they're going to learn everything from basic navigation skills, and even before that, how to prepare before you get to the water. Once you get to the water, those rules and regulations that are really important. What your boat needs to be equipped with. Those things are very important. Rules of the road. You think about the boating environment, Adam, there's no lanes of travel out there. There's no traffic control devices.
Right.
You have 360 degrees of mobility. So with the education, they're going to know which boats have the right-of-way. They're going to know how to react and act in certain situations.
And you and I have both actually been out on Lake Lanier together to take a look at this issue and some of the concerns that boaters face when they're out there. Lake Lanier is huge. There's a lot of boats. What's it like, this year?
Well, typically we consider our summer to start Memorial Day weekend. And from the beginning of Memorial Day, it has been busy.
Really?
The weather's been, fairly good for the most part. Traffic is really picking up. You get out there on the south end where you and I have been, you've got boats running everywhere.
So, and you guys just finished Operation Drywater, right?
We did.
And tell me about that.
Operation Drywater is an initiative that started back in 2009. It's basically a twofold type initiative. The first is education, the second is enforcement. It is a nationwide plan where Marine Patrol officers throughout the nation on a specific set of dates hit the waters, and they try to educate the public of the dangers of alcohol and drug usage while boating, and also let the public know that we are going to be out there aggressively enforcing it.
Yeah, I was out there. You see this video too that we have. I was out there last year for this. It was really quite interesting, and the things that you guys talk about and train boaters on, and I know you were out educating boaters on the water. You really take a proactive stance on trying to inform those that are on the water?
Well, absolutely, Adam. We have to take that proactive stance. We want the public to be educated, and whatever our efforts that we can do to make that happen, that's what we want to do. We want the boating public to go out there and have a good time and be safe, and ultimately go home at the end of their trip and be able to talk about the fun that they had.
What about fishing? This is obviously, you know, a big time for that too. So some are out there boating, some are fishing. You know, does this training that you guys provide, or this education that you give to the public, does it apply to fishers, as fishermen and fishing as well?
Well, not as far as the education goes.
Okay.
The education is strictly related to the boating environment, but you know, there are times when we'll encounter boats and they'll be fishing and they'll ask questions about what's biting and what's the best thing to use, and we'll take that opportunity to try to give them a little tip.
So any rules that fishermen need to know about?
Have a license. That'd be the
It's always
first
a good
thing.
idea, right?
Yeah. If you're 16 or older, you need a fishing license. But other than that, really, the biggest thing that I would tie in with fishing and boating is, you know, you're going to be out there. If you know you're going to be fishing late and it's going to get dark, make sure your boat's ready to go, your lights are working, and you know where you're at.
You know, and I know that we talk about this every year, but just quickly, Sergeant Burgamy, some of the basics when you're on the water. How many life vests do you need? You know, what else should you know? You got to have, your boat has to be numbered, right?
Sure. Here's the thing, and basics. Your boat has to be registered if it's motorized, or if it's a sailboat 12 feet in length and longer, okay? Make sure that you've got a wearable type flotation device for every person on board. So if you got 5 people on board, you got to have 5 wearable jackets. If your boat has an enclosed gas system, you're going to have a fire extinguisher. Depending on the size, you may have to have more than one. So make sure you look at the regulation. Make sure your lights are working. Mm-hmm. And basic common knowledge of rules of the road is very important. When we're out there, one of the most common violations we see is violations of rules of the road. Mm-hmm. Folks with big boats think, well, my boat's bigger. Let me back up. I'm not going to say all folks with big, some folks with big boats think that my boat's bigger, I've got the right of way. That's not necessarily the case. So you need to know what the rules of the road are. That's basically what you need in your safety equipment.
One quick thing, and then we got to run. What about alcoholic beverages? Obviously, if you're driving the boat, you can't do it. But are you allowed to have a cooler with that on your boat?
Sure.
For other people?
Sure. In the boating title, there is no open container law.
Okay.
So you can actually be drinking an alcoholic beverage while boating, and actually even the operator can have one. Our suggestion is that you designate a sober operator. But if the operator feels like he needs to have one, they really need to be careful. They really need to check themselves and make sure that they're, you know,
because you guys will be checking.
Absolutely, we will.
And if they're over the limit, they will receive boating under the influence. Sergeant Mike Burgamy, thank you so much with the DNR being on the program. Something we all have to deal with in Georgia to think about this summer, those pesky little bugs. So ask yourself if you have the right repellent. We're going to take a look at that in a moment. And we also put the best summer grills to the test. But first, get your taste buds ready. Tips to bring the ripeness from the garden to the kitchen. We're talking tomatoes with Chef Sean O'Keefe coming up on Public Affairs on Peach.